On October 16, 1846, after thousands of years of valid but inadequate attempts to achieve the absence of pain during surgery, William Thomas Green Morton, a Boston dentist and Harvard medical student, first publicly demonstrated surgical anesthesia with ether. Both the patient and a number of observers attested to this first public conquest of surgical pain at the Massachusetts General Hospital. The word spread quickly. Given the snail-like speed of communications in that era, it is remarkable not only that a letter about the vapor had quickly arrived in England, but that ether had its great European trial just 2 months after Morton's American demonstration. The word spread like wildfire to France 1 month later, then Germany and Russia. By June 7, 1847, surgical operations with ether were also occurring in Australia. Anesthesia had become reality, and the medical world was changing radically. This very year, 1996, is the 150th anniversary of that momentous demonstration. 99 years following Morton's demonstration, Emory Andrew Rovenstine, who had distinguished himself as professor of anesthesiology at Bellevue Hospital and New York University in New York City, established the PGA. An expert, competent, and successful teacher and anesthesiologist, Rovenstine had 2 motivating reasons for establishing the PGA. First, to enhance the education and training of physician anesthetists who were returning from their military service in operating room theaters during World War II. And secondly, to create a vehicle for the dissemination of vast quantities of new information and techniques in anesthesiology. Rovenstine previsioned that the PGA would tell the world about the latest innovations in the science and technology of anesthesiology. Rovenstine's colorful dreams were realized, and the PGA has become his crowning achievement.
It was a novel experiment at the time.
How so?
Well, prior to this, the meetings of the ASA, which was essentially fledgling too, and the International Anesthesia Research Society, essentially presented papers, either clinical or research papers. And here, for the first time really, was a meeting set up to take particular subjects and cover them completely, beginning with the history in that particular subject, the medical disease itself, the preoperative preparation of the patient, the intraoperative management, and the postoperative care. For instance, they might take thyroid disease. Now, there would be one panel that would cover thyroid disease from the beginning to end. No really new original papers, but actually panels that gave the anesthesiologist a complete view of the disease itself and the anesthetic and surgical management of those patients. It's always a great attraction for anesthesiologists, not only in the area, but around the country. It truly, from its very beginning, was a national meeting, and not just a New York State meeting. And it still draws a national group of people who come to New York to learn and also to enjoy New York City.
After 50 years of successful service and education by the PGA for the specialty of anesthesiology, Alexander W. Gada stands at the helm of the Rovenstine flagship, setting the course of the PGA in both the spirit and tradition of Rovenstine's crusade. He serves this year not only as the general chair of the PGA, but also as president of the New York State Society of Anesthesiologists. In 50 years, only one other PGA chair has served in this dual capacity, Emanuel M. Papper, arguably Rovenstine's most successful resident at Bellevue. The spirit of Rovenstine, embodied by Gada as General Program Chair, and Elizabeth A. M. Frost, Committee Chair on Scientific Programs, lives on. If you were to put the PGA in perspective, how would you do it?
It's the most important meeting in anesthesiology held on a regular basis. There are other meetings that are held on a regular basis. Some are smaller, one is larger, but we have a different perspective on anesthesiology. Ours is clinically oriented. We appeal to the clinician. We do present research papers, but that's not our main aim. Our main aim is to bring physicians up to date with what's going on in their specialty of anesthesiology. And we do that with a variety of techniques, from straight-out panels and lectures to hands-on workshops to mini-workshops to problem-based learning discussions to interfacing with the experts at luncheons or giving them a basis, an opportunity for informal contacts in the hallways to talk to them. So that this interaction between the various groups is very, very productive, very fruitful, and we believe very strongly that we have developed and fostered the finest meeting in anesthesiology.
Well, the meeting was very exciting. The cast of characters, I think, was the outstanding thing. We got to meet many of the people whose papers we've been reading and who were just names to us before that. The remarkable thing to me was how kind they were to the residents. They gave them time. They were willing to discuss all sorts of mundane topics. And a lot of the famous people in anesthesiology at that time were former Bellevue residents that came in from all over the country for the postgraduate assembly. So we got to meet them as well.
It was a wonderful experience for us. If we didn't have the PGA, people like my friend Joe Artuzio and I, we would have been local people. But that PGA brought us on a higher plane. We were the first that really were able to scientifically produce a program that everyone wanted to come to see.
Well, I think the PGA, of course, is the educational component of the NYSSA, and I think the PGA creates a different educational background than what students get in medical school. I think in medical school the students are involved very much with technical things, starting IVs, endotracheal intubation, mask anesthesia, things of this sort. And I think the PGA provides a much broader spectrum of information in much greater depth. And it does give the students the opportunity to meet some of the leaders of anesthesiology in not only this country, but in some of the speakers who come from foreign nations as well. So it gives them a much broader experience than they would get in medical school.
And this was the first important meeting in our field where the basic scientists were not only very crucial to the doing of it, but they were carefully selected. They understood what their knowledge was to do with clinicians. And as a matter of fact, the tradition that Waters had started, Rovenstine continued, and I think I may have developed to its largest extent at Columbia, of sending our brightest people who wanted an academic life with these people in basic sciences to actually not only hear it once a year at an assembly, but actually to live it and to learn how to do it. And the basic scientists were enchanted. They liked the idea that something they were doing was going to do somebody some good, instead of just being part of a record.
I don't think it was innovation so much as it was an instilling of spirit. We had gone down into the doldrums a little bit. I trained with Dr. Rovenstine. And while I was in training, the PGA was born. And the PGA was part of our residency training program. It was part of us. And we were imbued with the spirit of the PGA.
William Morton and his public demonstration of surgical anesthesia will always represent the beginning of modern anesthesiology and the conquest of surgical pain. Emery Rovenstine, the chief architect of the PGA and arguably the chief of the most successful department of anesthesiology from 1935 to 1960, stands Herculean in our profession. He epitomizes what it means to be an anesthesiologist and a respected teacher of his art and science. Alexander Gada is the modern-day fulfillment of Rovenstine's vision, an anesthesiologist whose professional efforts reach out unselfishly to colleagues and students, both at home and around the world. Rovenstine's accurate prevision of anesthesiology is demonstrated by the PGA's successful past and present. It assuredly predicts the bright hope of the PGA's tomorrows.